This is such a big thing, Mike.
Thank you.
Come on, Jim. Good morning, Colin.
Morning.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Fantastic. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Qatar's first sports podcast, In the Welcome to In the Game, Qatar's first sports podcast. Now, I know, I said this on my last podcast. We have some special guests on the show, and this is no exception, okay? I want to introduce you to Hamid. Hamid is, before I start, Hamid is a great individual that's had many experiences, and he's going to share with us today. So Hamid, please welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you've come on.
Hey, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me, really. This is such a great opportunity, not only to, have a good and real conversation with you, but also just kind of to talk about, sports, really.
I want to kind of, we met not so long back, and we had a meeting, which I'll tell you honestly, from that time, I've been ringing you and texting you and saying, when are you going to come on the show? And obviously you've got your full-time job and you're doing another project also, which is incredible in itself. But it's something that everybody, when they've got the bite of sport in their body, then they'll do anything to push it forward.
Yeah, it's almost hard to explain. And like the only word that's so fitting for it is passion. No. Because, I can go on and on and on and on about the ups and downs that I've had just because of sports. And my lowest times has been because of sports, but my highest times have been because of sports.
And that's a big factor today, okay? You're going to listen to an amazing story, but that's going to be a big factor that I hope we get it across and we do your story justice today. Because, come on, tell us your story. Tell us how it began, where you're from.
Yeah, so I was born in Kuwait, moved to New York City in 93, just a year after I was born, and I grew up in New York City for 14 years. All the way up until 2007.
Right.
And then in 2007, we moved to Madrid, Spain. And I was living there for 11 years and just moved to Doha in September last year. So,
okay.
And really the thing that I can say that has been such an upgrade from going from one place to the next has just kind of been the experience with sports, really. Because, the sporting passion has always been there. My father used to play football growing up. He played in Kuwait professionally as well.
Right.
And so that's just kind of in my blood, I guess. So when I was playing in New York, I always, for some reason, I was always playing with the kids that were older than me. And I guess rightly so, because I was playing and I thought I was kind of keeping up to level with them. We was always captain of my team, despite being the youngest, really, as well. So that's always just kind of been a part of my character, I suppose, especially when I'm on the field. And it's quite funny, really, because people tell me that what I'm like on the field compared to what I am off the field is like two completely different people.
Right. I know exactly what you're saying from that side. I had exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's like when you went on to, you literally transformed into another
different person. There's really no way to explain it other than just wanting to win.
Yeah.
Because I hated losing more than I liked winning. So just like I'll do anything just to avoid losing, really.
Yeah.
And like at any cost, playing video games with my brother, ping pong, or football games, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Did not like losing.
Last night was a funny thing because, okay, I'm 53 years old, but I went to play. We were talking about paddleball.
Yeah.
Not paddleball. It's just paddle.
Yeah.
Paddle.com, whatever. But I just mentioned this earlier, and you said it's huge in Spain.
Massive.
Huge. And I went to play it last night, and it was, I wanted to beat the other, but my body wasn't working as good as theirs.
Yeah.
And it was you wanted to win.
Oh,
you
my
wanted
God.
to hit that ball as hard as you could.
And losing is the worst. I can't. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah. So go on. So because I kind of, and this is, I don't realize because you're quite a smallish guy, right?
Okay.
So you had to be a good footballer.
I was. I don't like to, big up myself, but I guess I was okay. When we moved to Spain in 2007, I got accepted into the Atletico Madrid's youth academy. And the funny thing is I was the second Kuwaiti in history to play for a top European youth academy. And the first person was my younger brother. he got accepted before me by 2 weeks, and then it was me. And so we were actually the first two Kuwaitis to have ever achieved something at that level, especially on a sporting scene in Europe.
That is really, really good. Yeah, that's something to.
I mean, and it was such a culture shock, actually, going from what soccer or football is in the States to what it is in Spain. Because in Spain, it's almost considered like a religion, and just like that upgrade in just the sporting standard was shocking, really. Yeah. Because in New York, it's like you go to your game dressed up already, you warm up for like half an hour before the game, and then you just start playing.
Yeah,
you take it as seriously, of course. But then I go to Spain, and we have to be at training an hour before the training, and the coach would talk to us for an hour afterwards. And at that point, I didn't even speak Spanish, so it was kind of just aimlessly looking around and trying to pick up words here and there. But it was just such a culture shock, really, on like just sports, apart from everything else, which is it was crazy.
Dear me. And what was it like with the training regime? Like, was it hard?
It was definitely much harder, and I almost didn't enjoy it at first because of the inability to communicate properly.
Okay.
It was I was so eager to learn Spanish as quickly as possible because it was like part of my nature was to talk and speak on the field and do this and that, and it was just like I didn't have that anymore.
How long did it take you to?
I mean, to understand words here and there and say kind of like the key words to be able to communicate properly. It took me maybe just like a couple of weeks, month to be able just to get the key words.
Right.
But to communicate was like a whole different story.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, how well you play almost kind of trumps what you're going to say. So I focus a lot of my energy and just like, all right, just play as well as I can.
Yeah.
And then that'll, gain respect from my teammates and from the coaches and to be able to play more because I lost a huge aspect of my game already. So I had to kind of find it somewhere else.
Okay. And what happened while you were at Atletico Madrid? What happened from there?
It's actually kind of funny because in my second game, the coach gave me the captain's armband, despite not speaking Spanish, nothing. He just kind of liked my attitude, I guess, despite not being able to communicate. And so just kind of my attitude and how I carried myself on the field and, really just gave him my all. I guess he admired that, I guess. And so I was actually appointed as the third captain of the team without even speaking. I mean, I only wore the captain's armband once, but it was like quite a statement, I guess, to everybody else. And to me, really. But the first year went great. And then since then, it's really kind of been up and down. So, I got cut and then I had to go play in another team. And the reason I got cut was so petty as well. And by my standards, at least. Because it was like I had to move up to the next, age category. But then they only took an X amount of players because they brought a lot of players from somewhere else. And so they cut a bunch of us. And I think my lack of Spanish was, taken into consideration, unfortunately. And so I left for a year. I played for a local team in Alcobendas in the north of Madrid. Played there for a year and then came back to Atletico Madrid for a tryout again for the next season. But and they accepted me, but they offered me to play on one of the lower teams, the D team. It was, and I trained with them for a couple of weeks, and I kind of didn't like what the situation was like because where I was playing already in Alcobendas, they were playing at a much higher division. My teammates were reasonably better, and it was just more competitive. And so I opted not to go back to Atletico Madrid, actually. And it's just kind of been up and down since then, really.
Yeah.
Up and down.
You had a bad kind of injury, right?
A couple of bad injuries. Yeah. And it actually all started in Atletico Madrid. In the second to last game of the season, I broke my hand during the game in the first half. I actually continued playing the game, and I actually scored the goal for my team that game as well. I didn't even know that my hand was broken, but I looked down at it, and it was just like purple and, all over the place. And so I missed the last game of the season, unfortunately. But since then, I've had 2 major ankle injuries, just kind of a point away from needing surgeries. Thankfully, I didn't need surgery on my ankle, but I was in a cast for 2 months and a half each time in my ankle. I tore the ACL in both my knees. Which took me to the lowest actually at one point, because it was like when I tore my first ACL, I was 19, 20 years old. I felt at my physical peak. I was having a great season at my club. And, I hurt my knee playing a stupid game with my friends, really. Twisted my knee by myself. And it was like the only thing that was my escape from life was just taken away from me just, in an instant. And it was hard to cope with. I mean, physically it was hard because, I wasn't able to run. I was kind of unable to do anything for 6 months with regards to sports. And just kind of that rehabilitation by itself was really tiring, and it took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
But I always said that the surgery and the physiotherapy and the rehabilitation was by far the easiest part of it, because just like the emotional aspect of it really,
I just can't imagine that you think to yourself, you're in such a place, and then all of a sudden you're taken all the way down, and you're not being able to do the thing that you love.
It was like the only thing I cared about was taken away from me, and it was just, I couldn't understand it. I could not understand it.
So what was it that turned you around? What was it that started getting you back up?
It took me a while to get back up, especially after the first knee injury, because I did kind of I did 8 months of rehab. I went back to my team in the preseason, hurt my knee again in the, first or second week of practice, was out for another 2 months, came back to the team in around October, November, and I got cut after, training for almost a year by myself just to be able to be fit again. And so being cut after all the training and effort and, effort that I gave it killed me.
Yeah.
It killed me.
Yeah.
And at the time, just kind of on a personal side, my grandparents had just passed away. And so like all kind of just fell into one spot, and I didn't have my escape anymore either. And so it was just kind of a not so great time.
Yeah. But look at you now.
I'm doing okay now.
This is good. Yeah.
I'm doing okay now. I'm going
to change the tone now, because you've been in Qatar. It's very a small time.
Less than a year now.
Less than a year, and then all of a sudden you're in the incubation center and doing deals with people.
Yeah, no, it was quite a turnaround, because while I was in Spain, I stopped playing football, and so it was always my reason to be in sports, whether it was playing. It took me. What it really was is that it took me a long time to realize that my dream isn't necessarily my reality. I mean, my dream is to go professional. Whether that would have happened or not, despite injuries, I don't know. I don't think I had the level to play at the first division, to be honest with you. But my dream necessarily isn't my reality. And what my reality is, I think, is a bigger purpose than just playing football. And
that's so good from somebody so young, to look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not lying to myself. If I lied to myself and say, how could this happen all the time, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Listen, I kind of, I hope you don't mind, I met your sister before, and I'm going to bring it up in the conversation. It's just that she was amazing that day, because she was listening to every part of your words.
Yeah.
And she was living what you'd been through. And you could see her kind of emotions going up, and she was behind every word, and she was backing you up and supporting you.
Yeah.
It was amazing to kind of, but you've going back to the thing. You've come here and you're doing amazing things now.
Yeah, it was almost kind of everything just kind of fell into place really, and I was just kind of keeping up.
Okay.
And it was like when I first moved here, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I'll just get a job at Aspire or at the Supreme Committee, and I want to be involved with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because I started a business here, or I'm starting a business here actually, which I started in Spain long ago.
Yeah.
And I shut it down because I was losing money. It wasn't really moving. It was hard to kind of get off. And so I moved here, and I was like, all right, let's get a job. I couldn't get one. So I was like, okay, I'll focus on the business again. Let's see what my chances are here. And then since then, it's just been flying.
Yeah. So come on, tell everybody.
So,
come on, let's see.
So the business it's a sport-driven mobile application.
Yeah.
And that kind of enhances the customer's experience when they go to, any sporting event or even like the cinema, any kind of entertainment venue. And so what it does is that you go into the venue, you enter your seat information, and the menu of the nearest concession stand will pop up on your phone. And you can, order, and it can either be in-seat delivery or express pickup service.
Yeah.
And like just being a football fan myself and going to, you know, games and, you know, going to the Atletico Madrid's Champions League finals and experiencing those heartbreaks. I felt the pain of the fan of going to a game and having to stand in line for 20, 30 minutes just to get, you know, a drink and a sandwich. And it's like you miss goals or you miss something during the game, and it's unfortunate.
It's funny. I told everybody this morning, we had a meeting here, and I told everybody this morning what you were doing, and they were saying, great idea. Just a great idea. Yeah. Come on, when's it coming? When's it coming? But you're quite advanced now. So what stage is it?
Yeah, it's because if it's not sports, then what am I not gonna stop doing? It's like sports is the only reason why I'm here. Honestly, I mean, apart from, you know, I'm a big believer in, like, you know, speaking your truth and, you know, speaking into the universe what you really believe. And, you know, if it comes from a genuine place, and it comes from a genuine place, and maybe things can happen that way. Whether it happens quickly or not, I mean, that's not up to me. But I really wanted what I want. I really believed in myself. I believed in my capabilities. You know, and I'm my biggest critic, but I still have that faith to be able to, you know, achieve something. That's what I said earlier. My dream isn't necessarily my purpose, and I think my purpose is greater than what I think. You know, maybe whether it's, you know, the app or not, we'll see. It's just a matter of time.
You know, I go back to my age. I'm 53 years old, and I've been privileged to work with some very special people, and I've found different sets of people that have become very, very successful, and they've got something about them. They've got something special about them. I think you're one of those. I think you're. I really do think that, because I'm trying to imagine myself at Atletico Madrid. And I'm trying to think of all the things that you must have seen in front of you, and the dreams and aspirations. And then to be dashed and to be right at the bottom again and trying to get your way out of that. And to see you with full of life, to come here with the sparkle in your eye and the passion in your heart. It's just a really special thing. And I think you've got, whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to be somebody quite special.
First of all, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're going to be somebody special.
It means a lot. You know, the purpose is never to be that special person, but if I am, then I am. If I'm not, then I'm not. It's not going to change my work ethic.
No.
You know? So, I mean, that's, I think, what's the important aspect and what I'm trying to achieve.
I don't know if it's a work ethic. I think it's just the way that you have been brought up. You talk very fondly. We didn't talk about your family, but you talk very fondly, and I brought the subject of your sister up, where you've got a smashing background in your family. It looks like it's a loving family that cares for each other and supports one another, and that's a really big thing. But you still want to go, and you still want to drive on. You still want to push it, and they're all behind you, which is great news. But you've got something special, and I really, 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 really hope, and I'm following you with drive.
I appreciate that.
I want to put, if I can ever push you in any way I can, I will.
I appreciate that.
It's a tremendous story. It's kind of and one that can be told to others.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, it's what you were saying. Really, it's, you know, sports is kind of the driving force behind everything that I want to do and what I want to achieve in my life. But like you said, like, if not my family, then I wouldn't be half as where I am now, and it started really just from a young age that I didn't even realize, like the amount of confidence and self-esteem that, you know, my parents, you know, raised me with, and, you know, the manners and the respect and the way they raised me is massive for who I am today.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting older, I realize that more.
Yeah.
And I see what their sacrifices are more. And it kind of blows me away to think, like, oh my God. But without that foundation, no matter what my drive and purpose is, I couldn't do it.
No. But I bet you look after the people around you really well. I can see that you bring them into your family.
You know, I'm just one person, and one person can't do everything by themselves. And I'm lucky enough to have people that I love and that love me to be around me. It's a fortunate thing, and I'm very conscious and mindful of these you know, things that really matter.
Yeah,
you know, I think people sometimes forget how grateful we should be sometimes.
Yeah,
just off the basic.
I'm exactly the same. You've got to kind of pinch yourself sometimes and realize what you're actually achieving, and you've not got to you don't take that lightly. Yeah. It's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility. So I'm so glad that you came on the show today.
I appreciate it.
And what I want to do is just finish up by saying, listen, everybody has got problems in their life or difficulties that they have to face. This was an honor with you coming on today, because it just shows you that when you are feeling those lows, when you are feeling down and you don't know which way to turn, you have to only look one way, and that's up. Okay, because there is always somebody that's going to help you get to where you want to go, that's going to see your determination, that's going to see your passion, and it will kind of take you to that next level. All you've got to do is keep believing, keep working hard. I hope this today, as much as it did for me, was an inspiration for me. I hope it was an inspiration for everybody out there. So, Hamid, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure.
And
I'm sorry we didn't talk too much about your business, but you're going to be you're going to be coming back on the show. Believe me, I want you to come back on afterwards and tell us how your first test program run, because that would be really good.
I'd be more than happy to. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me in the first place, to be honest, and giving me a platform to be able to speak.
Oh, you've done an amazing job, and congratulations, and good luck for the future.
Appreciate it. Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you very much for listening. Hope to see you soon. Till next time, bye for now.